This is Project Inspire, a Haslam interview series created and produced by students in the Haslam College of Business at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and sponsored by Haslam's Office of Student Engagement. In this episode, we are joined by Amy Michaelson Kelly. Ms. Kelly is the principal at Hatteras Sky, a commercial real estate firm with properties across the country. Ms. Kelly also served as an attorney before joining the real estate industry. Hello, and welcome to Project Inspire. I'm Tyler Porter, and I'm joined today by Amy Michaelson Kelly. Amy, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. We're excited to talk with you today. So let's jump straight into questions. So you started your collegiate career here at the Haslam College of Business. What did you see as the value in a business education?
So I actually started in the College of Communications at Tennessee. I think I was going to study public relations or something. I'm not totally sure. But I transitioned very quickly to actually the logistics program, which I think might be called supply chain management now. And at the time, and I think even now today, it's one of the best programs at Tennessee. And I just thought, if that's a really highly ranked program, I should go into that program. A business degree is so practical and it's so widely applicable. I had planned to go to law school anyway. So I thought, let's get a business degree. And that's a great background to have in any kind of legal career I would have.
Oh, perfect. So that was going to be kind of toward my next question of law school. So Did you always know you were going to go to law school, or what was that decision-making process like?
Yeah. I did think I would go to law school, and I actually went to the University of Tennessee College of Law too. Mm-hmm. So I was here for 7 years. But I did think I would go to law school. It's just a career that I knew, I went to high school in a reasonably small town, and I knew some lawyers, and I thought that seems like a cool career. Lawyers do different things every day. And I thought, that would be cool if I could just every day do something different. Like I'm learning a new industry, or I'm learning, a new, human life situation or whatever. And so I thought, if I go to law school, I'll get to do something different every day. And so I went to, the business program. I actually didn't do like the internships and all of the, probably take full advantage of what they had to offer, because I knew I was going to law school.
Gotcha. So even though you didn't do internships and things, what things do you think from your supply chain or logistics program did prepare you for law school? What were some of the things that you carried with you throughout your education?
Yeah, so I ended up being a business litigator. So I always say I represented the man, because I represented a lot of big companies in litigation, either against each other or maybe when a big company was being sued by an individual. And so just having that business background was really helpful. Now, and I know we'll talk about it, but I'm a hotelier, and I'm also really involved in hurricane relief at the moment. And my logistics degree is eminently useful to that, just thinking about how to bring all the pieces together. It's a widely applicable skill to have in any kind of career. So,
what would you say were some of the defining moments throughout your undergraduate career and then into law school? What were kind of the things that you look back and say, these really kind of shaped who I became?
Yeah, I was the president of Dance Marathon, actually. That's funny, because I know people at Tennessee know what that is. It's at a lot of colleges, so a lot of people know what it is. But at Tennessee, it was a large organization. It probably still is. And that experience, I think about all the time, which I know is really weird. But at the time, you're bringing together hundreds of people, you're feeding them, you're entertaining them, you're bringing all these pieces together for 24 hours of dancing. I don't know how long it is now, but at the time it was 24 hours. And so I think about it all the time. We had processes in that organization. We actually introduced credit card donations. So, because I was in school between 2001 and 2005 in undergrad. And so in 2004, we introduced credit card donations, because before that, people wrote checks and mailed them. And so just thinking about that innovation and just even leadership, what is your leadership style? That was a time when I was developing all of that. So I do think about it all the time. Actually, it was a really valuable experience. I did SGA and all that kind of stuff too. And it's just, I don't know, I'm drawing those friendships and life experiences even today.
Yeah. How would you describe your leadership style? You said it was kind of formed through that. What did you see as the things that really took the head?
Yeah. So I think for the longest time, I was kind of like a servant leader. I feel like people would look at me and be like, oh, I'll never work as hard as she does. And I feel like you get respect from just showing how hard you're willing to work. now I'm 41. I'm in a different phase of life. I'm in a work smarter, not harder phase. But I think that now I'm kind of in my substantive era. I'm just leading from my experience. You do kind of make a transition where working the hardest is not actually the thing that you want to project. So anyway, now I think I'm just leading from experience, and, just all of that hard work that I had done all those years, I've accumulated a lot of just transaction volume and just human to human experience that I rely on and can use to teach younger people how to, behave in my organization or some other organization.
Well, very good. Thank you for sharing that. So we're going to go back to kind of before you got into the commercial real estate. We're going to talk a little bit more about your law background and your legal industry. So what intrigued you about the legal industry? Why was this something you wanted to pursue? And how did you find your footing there? It's, there's a lot of different ways you can get involved. So how did you find what was the right place for you?
Yeah, I don't know that I did.
Okay.
And so
that's fine too.
Yeah. So when I was at the College of Law, I pursued a litigation path because that is, again, it's something we kind of know. Like if you were to ask me to draft loan documents for a $150 million real estate transaction, I would be like, that's not, isn't registered to me. I'd never seen that before. But we've all watched TV. We know what litigators do. In addition, I graduated from law school in 2008. And so that would have been in May. I took the bar in July. The entire economy crashed in November. And so, I kind of laugh now when people talk about planning what they want to do out of school, because for us, it was what's available. And litigation actually was a pretty robust industry in the downturn because people were trying to recover their losses, and there was a lot less business planning and a lot less expansion of the economy. So transactional attorneys had a really hard time during that time. So that's how I found my footing. But in doing it, I think I'm actually good at it, but I don't think it's consistent with my personality. So it wasn't necessarily the happiest career. Right. I'm very grateful for it. I learned a ton, and it's worked out, and I lean on it all the time, but it wasn't necessarily consistent with my personality. So I don't know if I ever did really find my footing.
Yeah.
But,
And so that kind of goes into my next question of, so if you haven't found your footing, how did you know that it was the right time to pivot? And rather than continuing to try and find your footing, when was it the right decision to kind of become that entrepreneur and move toward commercial real estate?
Yeah, so I had a daughter, or I have a daughter, and then I still have her. She's 9. But during that transition, I kind of was looking at the model of, I was in a big law firm. It's 1,800 lawyers. It's one of the biggest law firms in the world. And watching my mentors, and how they were out at night, courting clients and doing all that stuff, I was kind of not really sure how I was going to continue to do that. Not to mention just what courts do. And they say, oh, you have a brief due tomorrow, and now you got to drop everything and deal with it. It's just really hard. I just couldn't see myself being the kind of parent I wanted to be and doing that. And so I took an opportunity to go in-house for a client, and that client was a real estate developer. So I became the general counsel of that company, and then got equity in the company. Ultimately, I sold out my equity and started my own company with my partner. And so that's kind of the transition that I made. But it was really born out of necessity. I think a lot of people are, in not necessarily that circumstance, but a lot of people are in that circumstance too. But there are other circumstances where life just kind of forces you to pivot. And that's what I did.
So as you pivoted, you've shared before you had a fake it till you make it mentality. Can you tell a little bit more about that and what you mean with that?
Yeah, I think just sometimes there's a tendency, I've had this tendency, and I think a lot of people have this tendency to just kind of assume you can't do something because you haven't done it, or maybe you didn't study it, we'll talk about this, I'm sure, but I curate art. What business do I have curating art? I have a business degree from a fine institution and a law degree from a fine institution, but it doesn't really qualify you to do that kind of thing. But you just have to do it sometimes. And so if you just change your attitude about it, obviously don't be irresponsible and do things that are highly regulated that you don't understand, something like that. But you just have to assume you can do some things and go take it one step at a time and actually do them. And then you become just as qualified to do them as other people. And so that is it's just an attitude shift. Yeah. Actually assuming that you can do something instead of assuming that just because you don't you're not 100% confident, you can't do it.
I'd say what for you, what was kind of that like leading with the facade of confidence, or at least, even if you didn't have confidence in yourself, but presenting yourself as confident while continuing to learn in new spaces, in existing fields, like how do you take that process of like, I'm going to present the best version of myself while knowing that I'm not the subject matter expert yet?
Yeah, so I actually have that innately, I believe, partially. So I've been told many times that I look really confident even when I'm not. So I think that's, I don't know, somehow I'm like a duck. I'm just pedaling, underneath, but I'm actually just sitting there. So that serves me, but also, I mean, I just have to be intentional about it and also just actually learn. Like, in the last 6 years, I've learned everything that I really know about real estate finance. And yesterday I was teaching a class in the real estate department here at UT. And as I was preparing for that, I was learning things for the first time, because truthfully, I just don't use some of these metrics, but they're useful, I guess, but we don't use them. So I never thought about it. But I think you have to dedicate yourself to your craft no matter what you're doing. So I did do that. But also I just kind of decided that I didn't care if I sounded dumb on occasion, and I would just choose that if I had said something that I was wrong about it, that I would just put it out of my mind and not dwell on it and move on. But that did happen on occasion. Like there were conversations where I would later look up what I was talking about and realize that I had misspoken. But it's just kind of part of it. I don't think you get anywhere if you just do the things you can do. So
well, great, thank you. We talked earlier about transferable skills from the logistics to the law school. Now, what did you see as the things you transferred from being a lawyer into being commercial real estate?
Yeah, so that's massive. Like there's a lot of transferability. And in our company, we have 3 lawyers and we're a 10-person company. So it's actually just to show you like how much compliance and how much contracting there is. So I think it would be really hard to be a real estate developer and not be a lawyer. Like there's so many documents, but it definitely it translates in that way. There's also a lot of negotiations. So no matter what area of law you're in, you're negotiating. So there's a level of comfort that I feel like I probably have in my space that maybe people who have been only real estate developers their whole career don't have, because they might be up against me,
right?
So, and I have that legal understanding. So, there's a lot of transferability.
Would you say it's more technical things like drafting those documents and things like that? Or would you say there's a lot more soft skills and things like that?
That's a good question. So there's soft skills that you of course learn because, for example, when you're talking to your equity or you're talking to your lender, you're presenting information. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. And you want to present like it in a way that doesn't cause panic, but also provides a solution. Right. And lawyers have to do that. You can't just call your client and say, hey, things are really bad and you're screwed. Call me later. Right. You can't do that. You have to say, this is what's happened. Here is my suggested course of action. And so it gives people comfort. And so, of course, you rely on that as a real estate developer, even as a human all the time. I also learned a lot about a lot of industries just because I represented companies in all kinds of industries. And so now when I'm talking about a retail space and there's a restaurant in it, I kind of know some things about restaurants just because I once represented, a restaurant group and they got sued for this, that, or the other. So there's, and also run hotels and, there's exposure everywhere. I mean, there's slip and fall exposure and there's employment exposure, so of course I have experience with all of that stuff because I was a general business litigator. Yeah.
Thank you. What would you say, coming as close to the present day as we can, what are some of your greatest successes that you've had within specifically the commercial real estate industry? And then what would you say are some of the greatest challenges that you're still trying to tackle?
Yeah, so successes, so in what we do at the scale that we do it, everything takes a really long time. So like for us to go from acquiring a piece of land, or I guess even identifying it, to actually opening that asset, it's like 6 years. So every time you do that, it's a success, And so I think over the last 18 months, we've delivered 3 multifamily projects in Seattle. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of apartment units. We delivered 3 hotels, approximately 350 keys in 2 different cities, Salt Lake City and Asheville, North Carolina. And then we're about to deliver a multifamily building in Phoenix. It's a high rise with 2 pools. It's like, it's going to be awesome. So anytime we deliver something, it's a success. So what we do is risky. Just, it's definitionally risky. And so when we actually do it, it's success, and we're all really excited. We also pour our hearts and souls into what we do. And so to see those buildings come to life and those businesses come to life, it really feels like almost like you're giving birth. It's like a child, Certainly our assets in Asheville, the Radical and Zelda Darris, both of those projects have us in every detail. So we've been very intentional about all of it. And so those would be, I don't know, those projects are our success. I also have the most amazing team. Almost all of our team's been with us since we started.
That's awesome.
And we're just so cohesive, and there's so much trust, and it's so effortless that has been a huge success.
Well, great. Thank you. So to me, the thing that really sticks out there is you're talking about taking risk. How do you know when's the right risk to take? What is the right risk to take, and how much risk to take? And how do you manage kind of your risk adverseness and navigating through that? Because taking no risk often doesn't get you anywhere, but taking too much risk can, all or nothing. So how do you manage risk?
So I was given some advice one time, and I reflect on it all the time, and I give it to other people all the time. And it's weird because it's a nebulous concept, but for some reason for me it's very clear in a set of facts. But what I was told was you should not let theoretical risk dictate your business. So like you could conceive of a million ways in which something could fail, but those are theoretical risks. Like, yes, a meteor could strike the building, right? And maybe, that's a theoretical risk. Like, how realistic is that? It's not. Right. And so if you can put risks into those categories and then proceed from there, then that's how I do it, But that definition of what is theoretical is probably different for people. But for some reason, it's very clear to me. Like if I'm looking at a set of risks, like, so for example, I guarantee debt a lot of times. So like we have a $40 million hotel and there's a loan on it of roughly half, let's say, it's $20 million. And they say, we need a person to guarantee this debt. So I will guarantee it. Okay. Like I'm not worth $20 million. So it basically means that if something happens to this building, then, and the bank can't recover the debt from the building itself, then they have to come after me. That's a theoretical risk. The building's worth a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's a theoretical risk. Also, I'm going to work my fingers to the bone, making sure that it's very successful, and I will bet on myself, but that's a theoretical risk. So I'm willing to take that risk. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But it's funny. I mean, we were talking last night. I was with some students in a real estate finance cases class. I was lecturing, and I told them, if you can't bet on yourself, like who are you betting on? Like who is this person in the world that you think is more capable than you? Like identify that person. That's a lot of trust to put in another person. Right. Put it in yourself. I mean, yourself, like you know how much you're willing to work and how much you're willing to study, and so put it in yourself. So anyway.
Well, great. For you and your team, you're talking 5-6 year projects, sometimes maybe even more. Mm-hmm. How do you stay focused in what the day-to-day needs are when sometimes the end result is millions of dollars and years down the line? Yeah.
So, and we talked about this last night too, but in our industry, when we're doing a project, it always seems impossible. Like the project there's so many things have to come together for that to be viable, but you just have to chip away at it actually. And it's funny, right now I'm doing some hurricane relief in Asheville, and a lot of the things we're doing seem impossible to do, but sure enough, if you just advance it just 20%, even though you don't know it'll work out, and you just put in the work, and it might be for naught, but you just put in that work, then another piece comes in, and then another piece comes in and actually gets done, and that's how it works for us. The other cool thing is that the stuff we do is fun. So it's like, oh, this is the design phase. Awesome. Like we're so excited about that phase. And at some point we'll be doing, construction phase. That's like not nearly as cool. So even though design phase is so far from the end, it's still fun. So you kind of engage in it and just embrace it for what it is.
Yeah. So from your transition of being a lawyer to being an in-house counsel to now kind of being an entrepreneur, what are the things that surprised you most of kind of being the principal and being your own entrepreneur there?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it was super surprising.
Okay. That's fine
It's
too.
much more enjoyable. I think I don't know, that I think I was realizing like maybe like that how dissonant
Mhm.
my previous career had been,
Yeah.
just because, in this new career, I'm accountable for myself only, and my team and my partner, and that's it. And I'm actually more comfortable in that space than working for someone else who is accountable to someone else. I think I don't know, that direct relationship is more conducive to my personality.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I kind of knew, I mean, you've heard like entrepreneurship's hard, there's ups and downs. We always laugh because some days we have the best days ever, and then the other days we have the worst days ever. There's never just like a normal day.
Right. And sometimes those are back-to-back days.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, totally. Yeah. We're like, oh man, we're really in the bind. And then the next day it's like, wow, are we the luckiest people? I am so grateful. So that, I guess the ups and downs are very different. I don't know if I was surprised by it because you hear it a lot.
Because you do it.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. And my grandfather owned a television store in the 1950s. It became a beeper store in the 1980s and I guess early 90s. I don't know. It became a cell phone store after that. And so I watched the family business, writing the checks. I had a cousin that had her own textiles company in New York, and she would make baby goods and things like that. So I'm watching her do the books. So I kind of had an idea what it would be like. I just didn't do it myself.
There you go. So, talking on the not doing it yourself,
Mhm.
but a little bit more on your team.
Mhm.
What did you see as what is the right way to build a strong team around you to be able to create all this success?
Yeah, so I really like people with with interesting job experience. So people who've done a lot of different jobs or interesting jobs that really show that they're willing to do different things, because we are a small company. If you have a title at our company, it does not mean that you will not do other things outside your title. Because I do things outside of my title, and everybody does. So seeing that's really important. I really like to find candidates who have sales experience and especially hospitality experience. So we are a real estate developer. We develop hotels and apartments. But if you worked in a restaurant at some point in your life, you have done sales. If you have, and sales are important, not because we're selling things. We actually use other people to sell our stuff. But sales is just an important skill to have because it is the skill of communication and advocacy. And so those are in a lot of times it's writing, which writing is such an important skill. People don't realize, but if you want to get what you want, you got to write it. The other thing about sales is about presentation.
Mhm.
Presentation is so important to making progress on something, because if people can't see it, then they're not going to participate in it.
Right.
And so having just that ability to present what you're looking for and how it benefits all parties, it's just an important part of our business. And so sales experience anywhere, a shoe store, a restaurant, all those things are really, we actually hired our server from the Four Seasons because he had an accounting degree. We hired him as a bookkeeper, and he stayed with us for about a year, and then he went to become a stand-up comedian. But and we love him. But anyway, I just thought that is that's a transferable skill for our business.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Thank you very much. So giving your time today with us, we're very grateful for it. But with other things around the university, over the last month or two, you've kind of come back. What do you see as kind of the benefits to us and to you of giving back?
Yeah. So for me, I didn't know what I would get from it exactly, except to get to hang out in Knoxville outside of game weekends, which is really fun actually too. But I've been really energized by the students. I'm super impressed with the students. I've said this so many times. I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing me say it, but the students at UT are not the students that we were, and we were great. Okay. But the students today are so prepared. Like, they know what they want. And I'm just excited about the state of the universe if that generation of people is entering, adulthood while I'm here. So So that's been really great. In terms of what I pass on, I don't know, I hope it's useful to someone. Like I get a lot of satisfaction of making people's paths shorter. So I'm like an efficiency person. Maybe that's my logistics background. I don't know. But if you're looking to get a job somewhere and somehow I can get you there faster, or if I help create clarity in someone's mind about what they want to do or the things that might make them happy, like that's really rewarding for me. So that's I don't know. Maybe it'll help someone. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So now we're going to get to our Haslam series questions. So these are the 4 questions we ask all of our guests. So the first is, what is something you know today that you wish you knew when you were 20?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. Skincare, no, but I think, and sleep, the value of sleep. There's just so many things, and alcohol is not great for you, as it turns out. All these things that we're learning now. But I think just from a philosophical perspective, like life is not meant to be linear, and I think when I was here, like I was very focused on, I got to make sure I survive and then pay my student loans off and then get to the next step. And all those things are very valuable things to do. But I wish I could have had the perspective at the time to just realize that there could be a non-linear path available, so I could appreciate even those times more. Like I think I was just really motivated at the time to make sure I stayed on a path instead of enjoying the process, and then knowing that it could be anything and it could be even be better, because life, even so, that's professional, by the way, and also personal. Like there's all these personal pivots, some of which you can't control at all. And I wish I just had that kind of, I don't know, understanding. But even now, I spend a lot of time regretting all of the hours I had billed, because when you're a lawyer, you bill hours, and if you're familiar with that concept, but you bill every 6 minutes of your day to somebody, they pay for it. And, I think my average billables, including my maternity leave or whatever, was like 2,100 hours or something. It's a lot of hours. Most firms don't even require anything close to that. And I thought, like, what is this for? Oh my God, I just killed myself for what? Woe is me. But I think looking back on that, I'm like, well, I really did work for like an extra year than everyone else who was my level of experience. And I've leveraged that experience into a really rewarding career. And so it's, of course, like totally worth it. I should have enjoyed it while I was doing it, but no. Anyway, so I wish I had, just had that perspective when I was starting.
Gotcha. Well, what is a resource? And this could be like a book, an article, or even a habit that you use or you found particularly useful.
So I'm a big fan of Dale Carnegie, which I haven't read lately. So I don't know how up to date it is, or even how accurate my memory is.
I read it recently, so I How to Win Friends and Influence People. Totally. So I think it still holds up pretty well.
Okay, so How to Win Friends and Influence People is a really great book because people so frequently think they're making progress with other people when really they're just like, they're not including the person in their conversation really. And so I think that's a really great book. Also, I've been reading a lot of history. I read a lot of biographies of like our founding fathers and presidents. I just find it interesting. And it's like weirdly, it's obviously horrible for many obvious reasons, but it's also weirdly comforting that, as a people, we've been through a lot of things. And so it allows me to just kind of sit quietly as news comes in and it stresses everyone out. I'm kind of like, okay, we actually saw something analogous because I read something about this, in one of these eras of American history or even world history. I was on a big Habsburg kick for 2 years before that. So anyway, it gives me perspective, and I think that like helps my brain like stay organized and process information in a healthy way. So
great. Fitting with the theme of our podcast, Project Inspire, what inspires you?
Oh my gosh, so many things. So right now, I would say in the last few, this has always been the case. I'm from Nashville, so the musical arts are always very inspiring, have always been my whole life. In the last 10 years, I've become really focused on visual arts and the importance of that to a culture. And I guess if you can have that, in my opinion, you have everything. If you have creativity and innovation and arts as a culture, you have everything. It's like when we talk about like the hierarchy of needs, like you have reached the top. And so celebrating that in our country, in our neighborhoods, is so important to keeping the status that we have as like civilized people. Our project in Asheville that was flooded in Hurricane Helene is called the Radical. It's in the River Arts District, which is called the Rad, which is why the hotel's called the Radical. But that hotel exists because of artists and the arts community. And so lately I've spent a lot of my energy and heart trying to rebuild the arts infrastructure in that neighborhood, because it is so critical to the neighborhood, to our hotel, but also to us as like a civilization. We have to have it. So lately I've just been so moved, by the art that's being created around this shared experience that we've had, which is a natural disaster, but also just the hard work and community, particularly in this arts-oriented neighborhood. It's just keeping me going, because we've had some ups and downs, like I said, but some of those include COVID, inflation, interest rate, pressure, which is, really difficult on our industry. And I feel like I'm missing one, but certainly a hurricane.
Right.
And so this is kind of the latest thing. So just kind of keeping me going through all of the, I think our hotel had several $1 million of damage in the basement. Just keeping me going through that. It's really just the artist community. So they're inspiring me today for sure.
Well, that's great. And our last question for you, what's next?
Well, practically speaking, we're working on another hotel. It's called Zelda Salon. 35 rooms in Asheville. We have a license with the estate of F. Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald to develop Fitzgerald branded hotels in Asheville. Particularly because of Zelda. She lived in Asheville, and she's a really cool character. So that is practically what is next. In terms of the rest of my life, I don't really know. Our company, we're just looking for new opportunities. We're looking in different markets, including in Asheville, hopefully helping reestablish some of this arts infrastructure, just using the resources that we have, and then maybe some new multifamily projects in some new markets. So we're investigating right now. I'll see where it goes.
Great. Well, thank you for your time today. We appreciate you being on this episode of Project Inspire. And thank you to all of you for listening. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to Project Inspire. If you enjoyed our episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating, leaving a review, or following us. We're available on all streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to check out some of our other episodes while you're here.